this episode, you'll get a breakdown of the quote, "What you seek is seeking you." Welcome to Energy Alignment for Entrepreneurs, the podcast helping entrepreneurs be free from anxiety, stress, and tension through balancing emotions and consciousness expansion. 3 things you'll discover today: how seeking keeps you separated from what you want, why what you need always finds you when you stop chasing, and what to do when you are exhausted from searching. Now, when we look at the quote deciphering, "What you seek is seeking you," we immediately are confronted with a paradoxical question mark, really. And when you start to unravel the nature of life itself, you see that there is duality everywhere, and there is simultaneously, you'll get a sense of communion or connection, or you'll notice that the separateness dissolves in moments. So then you're faced with a conundrum of, okay, what is this separateness? And how do we play through the duality of life, where there is communion, oneness, and duality? So the seeking is sort of a essence of not having. If you want something, you don't have it. That's why you want it. But on the surface, that seems very 1 plus 1 equals 2, right? I don't have blank, so I want this. Now, if you're acting from a place of seeking, that is necessary at times. And you will still, even when not seeking, have to act. But the contrast in the way that the action manifests needs to be noticed. Because on one end, you're operating from a place of, it's like a need, but it's a false need. It's just a desire. And then there are other actions that are necessary, and therefore there isn't the seeking, there is simply the acting. Remember what we touched on. The seeking is a not having. But if you are acting to create, then you know it's not about if, but just a matter of when. So when you have doubt or insecurity or inferiority in your being, it is what if? What if I fail? What if I win? What if she says this? What if this happens? It's all this unnecessary thinking. Now, when you are certain, what I need to lay out here is the only way to get out of the space of what if is to know what matters. Because when something is extraordinarily meaningful, it is no longer if. It is a matter of when. For you to operate with a sort of abundance, confidence, freedom, and clarity that can truly manifest your destiny, you cannot be speaking or thinking from places of scarcity. Correct me if I'm wrong, I could be wrong, but it seems to work somewhat like this, where we have thoughts and we have material actions and we have words of communication. We think via words, and then that is what our psyche sort of create the climate of our being or psyche. And if you can have the awareness to realize that you're making it rain, then you can make it stop raining. Yes. So, very practically, this comes in the vehicles of the thought, the word, and the action, right? Faith without works is dead. You cannot have faith without alignment in your actions, hence the name of the podcast, Energy Alignment. And hey, I happen to be quite entrepreneurial, so we are speaking to entrepreneurs. If you It doesn't matter where you're at in your journey. If you have a thought of being an entrepreneur, if you are deep into it, or if you are a profitable entrepreneur a decade into it, the spirit is innate in all humans. You don't have to be an entrepreneur to resonate with the podcast. The point here that we're really deciphering is, can you get beneath the woodworks of your worldview? Can you get into understanding piece by piece how you have constructed your identity? Can you see how other humans have other identities that shape their worldview and therefore their thinking, their actions, the whole thing? Can you understand how it all works? Because if you can study and observe yourself, your identity, the part which we label I or me, then you can catch on to the deeper nature of how the game was created. I use the word game because it is very much playful. If you look at the history of humanity, if you get out of the worldview of I'm this race from this culture, from this family, with this heritage, with this tradition, with this skin color, I'm that. You're not. You're so much more than that, and you're simultaneously all of that. Can you understand how a human being operates from there's no one route. It's not like you're centered in your heart, your mind. A lot of people feel it's like where your third eye is meant to be, in between your eyebrows. Yeah. But sometimes you feel strong in your gut, and sometimes you feel strong in your heart. So, this is more so the practicality of understanding how to see the relationship within what the quote is communicating. What you seek is seeking you, right? We started from that point of scarcity, and to seek is to imply that you don't have. And if you operate from a place of not having, you're going to continuously not have. So somewhere in your walking, there has to be a switch, an awareness, a connection to realize, all right, certain things I actually thought I wanted and I don't want them. So good, there is scarcity there. I don't want them. They're unnecessary, right? They're not for me. Then there are other avenues in life where you double down, you triple down, you go all in, because your spirit, it gets invigorated as you execute within meaning and alignment. You can start to intuitively sense when you're working with what you're meant to be working with. And you can also feel the shallowness of being out of alignment. The tough part about each human awakening is you have to go through this worldly suffering of confusion to feel the pain, to let your consciousness, your being, your spirit ripen, and basically you shine in a manner where the creator, the essence, the heart in you realizes deeper and deeper and deeper what we are actually doing here. Why are we here, right? Some people don't ask that question, but if you're listening to this, I'll be honest with you. Ever since I was a kid, I asked these weird questions, not like out loud, but I would notice them working in my mind. I would wake up and the thing on my mind would be like, what are we doing here? Why am I here? Not in this depressive sense, but also sometimes in that sense. Like, I just don't get it. Like, why do I have to go to school? But then it gets deeper and deeper, as in, like, who am I? What am I? I get it. We're humans. I have a mom and a father, and start to learn about um, sex and having children and all the organs, the muscles, the bones, the joints. You get all these labels. You start to see, okay, there are plumbers and electricians. There's marketing. There's technology. There's motherboards. There's roots, there's branches, there's leaves. How did this all happen, right? Then people will say, oh, God, and then they'll read the book and Christianity and this guy, if you don't do this, you are evil. And you get all of these perspectives and you just start to see, all right, what's actually going on here? What is actually going on? And then you decipher yourself. You start to notice, okay, I'm thinking. I have an identity. My identity, my experiences, my past knowledge, they create how I see the world. When I do certain actions, I feel a certain way. When I consume specific food, there's inputs and outputs. There is a just vast, beautiful amount of variables moving in every moment. This world is so beautiful, so complicated, so simple, all simultaneously. Now, I know that's a lot. I appreciate you if you bear with the rants because sometimes when I'm flowing, what am I to do, right? I have to let it flow. And if you're coming to this just for like, oh, I want to get this and that, and I want to learn this, that's good. It's good. But also just learn to listen to the wind chimes, to the wind, to the way that I go off topic. Life, it doesn't always have to be step one, step two, step three, step four, because you'll start to see that the depth, the beauty is much beyond measurement. Now, number one, how seeking keeps you separated from what you want. We really did nail into that. But to simplify that point specifically, it is on a deeper level. You have to get deeper to see that we are energetic vibrations and frequencies. There is much that is unseen, and therefore, you need to question the implication behind how you see, the implication behind the words that you use. Learn to read between the lines of your own thinking, not just accepting blindly conclusions which are false, but deciphering, oh, what stimulus created what energy and how did that energy manifest? Did I pull the weed when it was small, or now am I dealing with a weed that is now almost like a sapling? Speaking to a client today, and he brought up this point of like his neighbor had let a weed go, and that weed is almost a tree. And that's how it works. You need to get good at addressing your weeds when they're small. And then you can start to do what the wealthy people do in terms of property management, or they hire out hardscapers, landscapers, whoever, to lay down the fabric below the walkway, right? To compact the stone properly so that the walkway has 7 to 10 inches so that the pavers don't get uneven, right? That's a specific example. It's a metaphor for your life, your psyche. Now, you don't need to be perfect, but you need to understand like, hey, these are the 80% of the things that matter most to me. I have to allocate and prioritize for the things that charge me, that keep me alive and vital. When you lose that sparkle in your eye, you're done for. You can get it back. But when I say you're done for, I mean it's time to surrender and pray. Your identity gets brought low so you can realize what is greater than you. That's the nature of how the universe has been structured. You can't believe me, just see it to be true in your own life. It's a fact. Now, I don't know the specific content and how you've been brought low, but hey, if you resonate with this, you just check out the links below. Ultimately, the seeking is this operation of not having, and you got to get over obsessing over what you don't have and start working with what you got. That's really the simple answer. Why what you need always finds you when you stop chasing. It's kind of like a spiral or a vortex. And when you start to catch the tail of the creator, it still, you may not see the whole game outlined perfectly, but you get to catch on to the essence of what life is and how it works on a level beyond who you think yourself to be. And that allows for you to have this connection, this renewed consciousness, reborn, if you will, when you start to notice, okay, The thing will come to me when I'm ready for it. So instead of wanting the thing, how about I focus on getting ready for it? If you connect to your intuition in your heart, you can have foresight into your future. Maybe not every detail, but at the same time, you know what you need to do if you trust the moment. Now, I read a tweet from a man he's wise, but this angle was unfamiliar. And he was saying something of the nature like a man obsessed with always being present is really blind because he's not being strategic in terms of preventing wildfires. And there's a contradiction in this, which is tricky. But when you're always present, you're so in tune with the moment that you can see into the future to a certain capacity. I'm not saying you can predict everything and you read people's minds because that would drive you insane. You don't want to read people's minds, trust me. You may think you really like that girl and you wish you could know exactly what you could say, but that's not how life works. I mean, that's at least something I noticed in my past where it's like, oh, if I could just control things. And then you get to a point, no, life is so much more beautiful when controlling is out of your being, when you're ready to flow with the current which has been predestined for you. It's tough to let go of all of that self-identification that corrupts you from flowing with your intuitive insight. But as you walk this path, you start to see, wait, I create more pain by wanting and seeking and by controlling. And I can just have joy in my life, power, strength, spirit, and expansion, both material and internal, when you learn to let go and just let the current show you where you're meant to flow. You just stop chasing because you realize chasing's futile. You see, it drains you, it doesn't charge you. It's like you're being your own entity, draining the life from you when you entertain these shallow ambitions of wanting things that you don't even need, wanting things that you don't actually want. Bear with me. Sometimes you have to go after what you think you want to realize you don't want it. So, man, I give you a hug because that's a tough lesson to swallow. But what to do when you're exhausted from searching? Hey, we get here, right? When you're so sick of being sick and tired, you realize I don't care if you have the cars, the money, the children, the lady, or the multiple ladies because you're disillusioned in that nature. I don't care if you have everything that you think you wanted. If you're exhausted, you're exhausted. And you gotta look yourself in the mirror and say, man, I've built all this, I possess all these things, but if it's draining you, it's draining you. Learn to be honest with yourself. And if you're just so sick and tired of being sick and tired, what else are you to do than pray for change, to surrender, to get on your knees and to stretch, to absolutely put yourself in a state where you are humbled, where you have humility. You see, the coolest part about having humility is it's the sort of, now this isn't always the case, right? I come across sometimes on social media jacked men who are just kind of rude, right? But they also carry some truth in them too, where it's this, the rudeness tends to be speaking on the illusion of others, right? But still, that manifest, it's your own illusion if it is coming out in a rude manner. So, what I really mean when I say that is the humbling of yourself comes in the form of physical exertion frequently. Doesn't always happen like that. And everyone has different life paths. But for me and many other men out there, you're going to want to humble yourself through weightlifting, through athletics, through running, through physical exertion, pushing your body to the brink, whether it be at work, in sport, and in the gym. You need balance in the way that you humble yourself. And it helps to exhaust the false part of you physically. What I mean when I say that is when you push your body to the brink, your spirit, your weak, chattering mind gets quieter because there's just not that much space for it. When you exert yourself, it's a act of devotion. Really, like when I was suffering through I think I did 72 reps of 225 zercher squats today. So I'm carrying 225, 72 reps in the crevice of my forearm and where your bicep begins to start, where your elbow is on the other side. And just the amount of weight and exertion and energy I had to put into moving my body, picking it up, putting it down. It just does something beautiful for your spirit where you know you're working hard and it makes it easier. It gives you momentum brick by brick. As the snowball grows, it grows and compounds. And same thing with wealth. The law of compounding, really a main point of my message, is that there are universal laws out here. And it's our duty to catch on to the nature of how God has wrote the game rules, the unwritten laws. The cool thing about it is they're unwritten because you have to realize them yourself. That's the fun part, right? And again, with the body, with wealth, if you were just handed things like Buddha was, he was handed the kingdom, he wanted to know about why there are people dying. He was put inside the golden kingdom, if you will, silver spoon, for years and years. And when he was on the chariot and started to see, man, this guy is dead. Ask the chariot rider, what's there? What is that? And the chariot rider says he's dead. Buddha never heard of that. So then that breaks his shell. Starts to realize, wait, there's so much more to life. And so different religions come from different roots. Like Islam is a conquering religion. I'm not judging it. That was just the time frame in which it was written. And the Christians come from the slave-like mentality of Jesus was low. He was persecuted. And Buddha comes from the king, the castle. He had it all. And then he started to get in touch with, wait, there's more to life. So each religion, you can't just say one book, one way, one path. You have to start to see that these are metaphors, stories for the unwritten book that's on your heart. Are you going to just say, oh, this holy book is the only way? Or are you going to read what's on your heart and realize that just if you were the one being persecuted, how would you feel? If you were the one torturing another person, how would you feel? Can you really sit with it? And it's this sort of depth, contemplation, openness to question beliefs, to notice I'm exhausted, I need to change. I'm done searching, I'm done jumping to conclusions. I'm done saying that my way is the right way, and if you don't see it like this, you are this. That is, you just learn to let go of these lower levels and you operate and you begin to see that you are shining. But you know how much you have to polish out to start shining? Hey, how else is a diamond made? Wouldn't it be fun if the whole world was just diamonds, would it? I don't know, maybe. I'm not saying that it can't happen, but let's make it happen. If we are to write a beautiful world, then it starts with you today. And whether you embody the truth or not, whether you take these words and truly listen, or you jump to conclusions and let your mind shove it away. The power's in your hands, and that's the beauty of the truth, is that the simplest way for humanity to change is for you to change. And a lot of people may not be ready for that. They may say this and that, but first this no, it doesn't work. That doesn't work. Don't believe me? Just look at it. Start thinking about all the things you can't directly control. You really want to operate from that place? And then think that you need to go be an activist? If you are to be an activist, you know the moment when you are to act. Because God wrote it on your heart. Jesus says, the books say, ultimately, you'll know what to say when it is to be said. Don't worry about what you need to communicate when you're being persecuted. God will be with you. Why do you think Jesus let himself be persecuted? He could have got away if the man could be reborn, but that wasn't his destiny. You got to look at your life in the grander picture, the bird's eye perspective, see that you are a story, and let that story be written. It's his story. So I appreciate you. Hey, we're going longer. We're going longer. Hopefully you enjoy. If you don't, then, well, you listened this long, so I got you there. I think you're enjoying it. All right. Ultimately, I'm grateful. Grateful for you, each of you who listen, who take the time, the energy to let your heart awaken, to notice the falsity of the mind, to catch the desires before they turn into a swallowing wave. You, those individuals out there who have the courage to dive through the wave when it comes, to not be swallowed by it. Amen to you. I appreciate you. I care for you. Share it with a friend, please. If this rung true to you, share it with someone who resonates on your level. May only be one person, that's fine. If you got 2 or 3, that's really cool. If you got more, thank you. Ultimately, new episodes are out Monday and Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll speak soon. Have a wonderful day.